Wait a minute.
It's recording. Is it live or Memorex? All right. We have to practice.
Natalie, are you going to share the presentation like last time, or would you like me to? Okay.
Friends, what will we do when March comes around and we have Thursday nights free again? Whatever will we do?
Well, Friends and Seinfeld are still on TV, right? Like maybe I could get caught up. I'm a little out of touch. I stopped watching TV in 1996, so. The 90s were a good decade for me.
Yes, they were.
You're just joining us. Welcome. We will get started in a couple of minutes.
Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Is everything okay? Christy, are we having difficulties?
You are muted, Christy. Yeah, go ahead. Can you, well, it's because you're already in here. Let me switch to Korean. Go ahead, Christy, say something now. Yes, hello. You can't hear, okay, I'll go over real quick.
Do you want to, I was going to say have her click on the sound bar first and check her microphone. Okay, so Christy, can you do me a favor? Next to the mute button, there's a little caret, click on it. And it's going to say select a microphone. And then, but right below it is select a speaker, and you're going to want it to be your external headphones. Is that check mark? It'll be on the bottom left corner of your toolbar. And your Zoom window. How we doing, Christy? Looks like someone's over there showing her. I can't see who. Welcome, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're going to get started momentarily. Another minute or so. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Thank you for joining us. I know it's, again, always hard on Thursdays, and especially tonight, but it's not raining yet.
Working?
Good? Okay. Awesome. Woo woo.
From here? You want to use my laptop? Is it from here? Is it good? I'm good. Okay.
Yay.
All right. Thank you everyone for your patience. We had just a little bit of a technical glitch, but I think we have it resolved. Welcome everyone to our 4th parent workshop. We have a series of 7, and this is our 4th this evening. So if you have been with us before, you will recognize a lot of the faces here with us this evening. So I would like to introduce our team. I guess I should start by introducing myself. My name is Michelle Centeno, and I'm Director of Educational Programs here for the Buena Park School District. And I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us this evening. Here to lead us through learning all about the many learning apps that our student devices have are our wonderful technology TOSAs, Mr. Andy Osborne. Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Hello.
We also have Miss Natalie Benda.
Hello.
And also helping us make sure everything is accessible. We have our translators. We have Miss Margarita Escamilla. Look at that. She can like wave, interpret, all of that at the same time. So talented. And also our second interpreter is Miss Christy Kim. Okay, so we are going to learn all about, again, the very many learning apps that you see your child using probably day in and day out. You may have some questions about some of these apps. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to both Miss Benda and Mr. Osborne.
Okay, Natalie, did you want to kick things off?
Oh, sure. I'd love to welcome everybody to, as Ms. Centeno said, our 4th installment of parent training. We know that that iPad is full of apps, and a lot of you are familiar with them, but there's hopefully tonight we'll give you maybe some of the reasoning as to why we use them, how we use them, and kind of make you a little more familiar with them. So we're really excited about that. We already briefly introduced ourselves, but one more time, I have been with the district for 4 years as a tech TOSA and have a long career as a teacher and administrator in education. And I'm excited to be here. And one of my favorite things to do is just share with parents all of the wonderful things tech-wise that we have to offer in Buena Park. So Andy, want to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Osborne. I've been with the district for some time now in lots of different positions, classroom teacher, administrative intern. Now I'm doing Living the Dream as a tech TOSA, and I love it. I love working with Natalie and Michelle here. And I'm excited to jump in for tonight's presentation. Wanted to point out, I don't know if it's been pointed out already because I was running around just prior to this, that there is a Q&A button in your toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And if you have any questions as we're presenting, if any questions arise, come up, just click on that Q&A, type the question in there, and we will be sure to answer it at the end, most likely, but we might even answer it as we go. Let's
And
go
one
ahead and
last
jump on.
I know our families are super tech savvy, but just in case, maybe we have a few new people joining us. At the very bottom of your toolbar, you will see on the right-hand side what looks like a globe. So if you do need interpretation, we have that available in Spanish and in Korean. So just click on the globe, choose the language that you prefer, and we will be on our way.
All right, excellent. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to start by talking about our learning management systems, Seesaw and Canvas. We're going to transition then into ClassLink, which is our single sign-on solution for kids and for teachers. We're going to talk a little bit about the self-service, which is kind of like the app store, full of curated apps that we maintain here at District, educational apps. We're going to talk briefly about all of our online curricula for ELA, math, social studies, and science. Thank you with your excellent cursor work there, Ms. Benda. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about some of our supplementary programs that are generally managed by the teachers, but just to raise general awareness about them so that you know that they're out there and that your child's teacher most likely will be using one or two of them.
All right. Well, I get to share with you Seesaw. It's near and dear to my heart as we work through it together. What I like about Seesaw, first of all, it is a learning management software, which we call it LMS for short. And really, okay, for those of you, I'm dating myself. If you had like a trapper keeper back in the high school, or you had your folder and your teacher used to make you have the little tabs and dividers, really Seesaw and Canvas and LMS is really kind of that all-in-one organizing folder with the different tabs. You put your syllabus in there, you put your assignments in there, you put your homework in there, and then you just carry it back and forth. So that's kind of like, if you can picture it, that's really what Seesaw is. It is geared for the younger kids, but honestly, it's been used all the way through middle school in some districts, and maybe even into high school. And what I like about it is it's fun and engaging and appealing to look at. It's, like I said, a one-stop shop where for us as a district, we will put all of our assignments in there, our Zoom links, I'm sure you're very familiar with, and reminders that teachers can send out little quick reminders. Hey, don't forget this is due tomorrow, or hey, Zoom link has changed, etc. But the key thing, I think, for us, especially as teachers, we know each of our students learn differently, right? Because we all do. We all take in information. We like to hear it one way or watch a video, but we also like to respond and share what we know in a variety of ways as well. Some of us might be better at writing. Some of us might be better at speaking. Some of us might be better at video kind of thing. And so what Seesaw allows you to do is it allows a teacher to say, okay, we're going to accept this kind of response from students. So they could record a video, they can record audio, they can draw a picture, they can type it out, they can screenshot their work. So they can do it on plain old paper and pencil, screenshot it and turn it in. So the beauty of this LMS is that it's kind of an easy, simple way to do all of these types and have all of these responses all in one package. And for the teacher, it's all in one spot. So I can go back and quickly scan and say who turned things in, I can grade it, I can put comments on it, etc. So it's really this kind of working folder that goes and passes back and forth. So there's a lot of advantages to Seesaw, which I think almost we go all the way down to the kindergarten. In fact, even TK, we have one or two classes that use Seesaw. So it's really user-friendly for the kids once you get the hang of it. And a great resource for parents. By the way, parents, you can actually follow, if you will, and see the journal of the classroom work that are being submitted. So you can always see your students' work. And if the teacher allows certain activities or assignments, they can share out and you can view them as well. So it's kind of a fun way to collect a portfolio, if you will, of all of your students' work. And that's Seesaw.
Awesome. I get to talk about Canvas. Canvas is really, really cool. It's an LMS like Seesaw, Learning Management System, and Canvas is used by many universities nowadays. Many high schools use it, and it's widely considered one of the best LMSs, if not the best. It's very, very popular. They have over 3 million simultaneous users worldwide every minute of the day. Their user base has tripled overnight from COVID, as you can imagine. And they're very, very customer driven and customer support minded at Canvas. Their interface is fairly simple to use. It's very customizable, even on down into the elementary grades. We actually have a few elementary classes using Canvas. What comes to mind is Gilbert School uses Canvas rather than Seesaw for their LMS. And Canvas is customizable because you can change it so that it's much more simple and streamlined for our little guys. The goal of Canvas is to offer a system that teachers and students can use to obtain learning materials, collaborate, and complete and submit assignments. And it does all of those tasks really, really well. It's a one-stop shop for announcements, assignments, materials. Um, there's a discussions feature in Canvas where a teacher can post a discussion question and students can respond on a thread, just like they would with one of the LMSs used at the university level, like Blackboard. Um, that feature may or may not be turned on depending on whether your teacher feels comfortable moderating that or not. It can be difficult, it can be challenging to moderate. A lot of activity in the discussion boards. Links can be posted. No doubt if your child uses Canvas, they've gone to Canvas to find their Zoom link, either on their homepage or in the announcements section. It might even be set in as an assignment. Videos can be embedded in Canvas, or links can be embedded to videos. And most importantly, grades are kept, grade books are kept in Canvas. And grades at the middle school are passed from Canvas over to right straight into our report card system, which is really neat. Students can respond in a variety of different forms like Seesaw. They can annotate, which means they can draw right over a digital copy of the page right on their screen. They can also just respond with text by typing answers into text boxes. They can record video or audio. Don't know if a lot of teachers are using that feature, but it is possible. They can do it. And most importantly, perhaps most importantly, Canvas has this really great feature. They're very forward thinking and progressive at Canvas. They have this really great feature where they interface with other LTIs. And an LTI stands for Learning Tools Interoperability, which is really hard to say, interoperability. Basically, what it means is that Canvas interfaces or connects with a lot of other online systems programs such as Flipgrid, Nearpod, just come to mind, Newsela. And it just has a seamless integration into Canvas where you can reach those systems just by tapping a button within Canvas. Super, super cool. And as I already mentioned, the interface is completely customizable. You can see a picture there of a course that I created with my own little virtual classroom on it. And maybe many of the teachers of your children have done something similar.
All right, so those are our LMSs that we use for K5, TK5, and then all the way for our middle schools. All right, so let's talk about other ways that our students can connect. So we use an app called ClassLink. Your students most familiar with it for logging into iReady. And what ClassLink is, it's cool. And it's kind of like a master key, if you will. So the intention is students log into ClassLink one time, and any app that we put in as a district, we can put apps in that require passwords. So we kind of store them inside of ClassLink. That way, once they put the one password in for ClassLink, they use that QR code that you have, or you can use your Microsoft login. They then tap on any app in there, and it'll automatically log them into the app. So they don't have to necessarily remember, the username and password, or enter the username and password for like 6 or 8 or 10 different apps, if you will. So we rolled that out, I believe, this year. And so we have, what we're doing now is we're just slowly adding in more into ClassLink, so that way the goal really is so students can only need to log into one app once to be able to access everything else. So by the way, we do call it an SSO, which is a single sign-on app, again, one time only. And it's just something we hope that will continue to grow. We want it to continue to grow. And like I said, keep putting more apps in it. One tip for you, again, most of it's used for iReady. We're still answering some tickets on that today. Just remember, students, when they go to log into iReady, they actually have to go to ClassLink first, then tap the iReady app. So just a little extra tip, if you notice your students tapping on iReady and their password and username or their QR code isn't working, try ClassLink first and they'll get right in. You're up.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Self-service. Okay, so I think I mentioned at the top that self-service is like an app store. If for all the iPhone users out there, it's like the app store for our district, and it's full of apps that are curated by us. Um, there's a process by which teachers and administrators can request that an app be placed into this catalog. It kind of goes through different checks and balances and then eventually is placed in the catalog. And it's free for students to download. Not all apps are going to be in every student's self-service. That's important to point out. One that comes to mind is used at the middle school is Notability. That one is not going to be available to students at the elementary level. And that's a note-taking app. It's very important to what they do there. The if your child needs to download an app from self-service, it's pretty straightforward. They just tap on self-service. They can do a search for the app, or they can just scroll generally for all of the apps that are there and just download the ones that they need. But we recommend that they only download the ones that they need, or only the ones that their teachers tell them to download. Some kids go in there and they just start downloading everything, and what that's going to do is clutter up their iPad with a lot of unnecessary apps that they're never going to use and will take up a lot of storage. And storage is very important on these iPads because they don't hold a whole lot. 16 gigs can go really quickly. I mentioned some are grade specific, some are teacher specific, school specific, some require licensing. Notability is another one that comes to mind. We have a certain number of seats for Notability, and sometimes we have to purchase more to accommodate all of our students, and teachers use it too. And if you're having a problem with an app, one troubleshooting hint that we offer to parents is to press and hold on that app and press the X to delete it, and then go to self-service and download it again. Sometimes that can fix the issue. Thank you, Miss Benda.
All right, another one of my favorites. I'm partial to those, near and dear to my heart, and this is iReady. And we use this for new this year. We've added in math. Last year we started it. It's really reading and math. And what this program is, it is a diagnostic and instruction program. And from the district perspective, we do what we call diagnostics 3 times a year. We do at the beginning, mid, which we just are wrapping up literally today, and we'll have one towards the end of the school year. And what this does is it gives us a snapshot. It's just a quick assessment of where students will get assessed or test on what they've learned so far through iReady. And we can, as teachers, be able to take that information and we can see exactly, like if it's in reading, we can see, is it comprehension? Is it vocabulary? Is it phonics? Whatever it is, we can really break down the weaker areas where the student is at. And then we can actually assign lessons based on that to the student to help build those skills up. Okay, so it's a really great you kind of need both sides of it. You're going to need the diagnostic side, and then iReady is going to provide the instruction side to help fill the holes, if you will. Okay, so by the way, so we as a district do give this 3 times a year, but teachers do have the ability to issue it at any time. So let's say you have a student and it's in math and they're working on a skill, and let's say they're struggling with this skill. The teacher can go ahead and assign additional instructional resources and then have them retest or reissue the diagnostic to see if there was growth over that week, or to see if there was movement towards being more successful with that, if you will. They can do it weekly, they can do it every 2 weeks, however they choose to do it. Again, the goal is to see, is the student learning and growing, okay? The other part of it is the instruction. So now your students, when they go to log in, they might actually see not just one instructional assignment, but they might see 2. So what that is, one of them will be the instructional assignment that is given by iReady, again, based on the diagnostic that they last took, and it automatically adjusts as they move forward. The other one might be one that the teacher has manually assigned to them. Again, they looked at some of the areas of weakness and they want their student to practice more in. So they're going to give a little bit extra and say, I want you to practice this skill as well. So you might see both on there. And that's why some of you will see 2 now and be like, why isn't this working? Or why do I have 2 and why is this one different, and so on. All right, so that's why you have it. So we have, again, iReady. It does a diagnostic. It's taking a snapshot of where the students are at and then adjusts the instructional needs to meet that for them to help them grow and learn as in either reading or in math. So here's a tip. So during our diagnostic periods, we do have restricted hours, okay? So students can only take the test between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. If they happen to log into iReady, like say 7:15 on a Thursday night, they're gonna get actually an error message that they can't log in, okay? Or it'll say, please see your teacher, something of that sort. They can't do it on weekends either, same thing. That is just for the diagnostic period. Once a student completes a diagnostic and they move into the instruction, that can be used at any time, okay? So just a tip on that. All right, that's curriculum. Woo woo.
All right. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about footsteps for our little guys. So at this point in the presentation, we wanted to kind of range the apps and information into buckets, subjects. So we're going to talk about what apps we use specifically for ELA, what apps do we use specifically for math, for science, for social studies, history, and kind of divide it up like that. So starting with ELA, and this is ELA on the left-hand side, we're talking about ELA for our little guys, real little guys, our preschool to K population, and maybe even our first and second graders might even be using Footsteps, is Footsteps to Brilliance. Footsteps has been around for a little while in our district. It's a fantastic app. Um, no internet required for Footsteps, which is definitely a bonus. You have to be connected to the internet at some point, but then you can download all of the material that you need in order for your child to learn through Footsteps. Very easy, user-friendly interface. Um, Kids love it. It's reading books to them. It's songs. It's lyrics. It's drawing and interactive activities where they make puzzles and move things around on screen. They have to actually touch and interact with it. It's really great. It is curriculum for our little guys. And new this year, they have 2 new apps. Clever Kids U Pre-Reader for our kids who aren't quite reading yet, and Clever Kids U I Can Read. And they're in that order down at the bottom of the screen. The pink one is the pre-reader, and I Can Read is the orange one, orangey yellow one. And those are specifically targeted to, like I said before, kids who aren't quite reading yet. And the I Can Read is a phonics instruction app that is targeted to kids who right on the cusp of reading, maybe are even actually reading some words already, and it's designed to kind of propel them forward. Um, if I didn't mention it before, Footsteps is a bilingual app. There's a toggle on screen at any point where you can toggle back and forth between English and Spanish. And wanted to make sure to mention that. And that's for all 3 apps. And all 3 of them, internet is not required. So wonderful, wonderful app for our little guys. When they graduate on up to kinder, first, second, third, straight on through 8th grade, students begin to use iReady for English language arts instruction, which Ms. Benda kind of went through a lot of iReady already. It's billed as a smart app that gives a diagnostic, and then it tailors the instruction in kind of a prescriptive style of instruction where it meets the kids where they are. And it too is interactive and reads to the kids, and there's audio to listen to, and it's a lot of fun to do. Our kids love it.
Mr. Osborne, before we move ahead, I just want to let our parents know that if you have younger children, next week, actually, Our workshop will cover Footsteps to Brilliance as well as the Clever Kids U app. So if you have younger ones or would just like to learn more about this particular app, next week, next Thursday, February 4th, this is what we will be covering for our parent workshop.
Wonderful. So glad you jumped in, and they're going to explain their product way more eloquently than I am right now. It is a fantastic app, and you all should come to that training workshop next week.
All right. So we're going to step beyond the ELA and look at the curriculum for elementary as it relates to math, science, and social studies. So first step that we have, and many of you have experienced with it, is Zern. And we love Zern. Again, it's a smart curriculum. So it's keeping track of how students are moving through their lessons and responding appropriately, either kind of giving them a slightly harder or more challenging problem if they're doing well in terms of they're answering the questions correctly, they're not stumbling on anything. At the same time, if they're missing like 2 or 3 in a row, it's going to say, hey, we need to go back and we're going to drop back down and let's maybe give them some review on where they're not doing so well in terms of, like, if they're doing 3 times 2 and they're adding it, so maybe they need to go back and just kind of go back and revisit some multiplication steps. Okay, so that's what we love about our smart curriculum. Diagnostic is given periodically. What we love is that the videos are there for new concepts. And the beauty about having recorded videos is that students can go in at any time. You know, we in the classroom, when we have students physically in our classroom, but also too on Zoom, we have them for just a limited time. So if you have these how-to videos, if you will, or talking about the concepts, students can jump in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They can jump in at 6 o'clock in the afternoon when they're sitting with you. And that's a great piece in that they always have access to a teacher, if you will. So having those videos to be able to pause, try something, go back and rewatch is a good thing. All right. Another aspect of Zern is that it will not allow a student to move on until they, what we call, master a concept. And that's not simply just getting a couple of questions right in a row. It's truly that if I ask this same concept, again, we'll go back to 3 times 2. And if I ask it a multitude of ways, we look at it in picture form, or we're doing it in kind of a quick speed test, whatever it is, we want them to really be able to respond and master it. So once they do that, it allows them to move on. Okay. They also offer additional support in terms of examples and practices and more videos for students who are struggling. I'm sure you've heard of the Tower of Power. There's games and all sorts of ways to try to keep the students engaged in learning math to make it more fun. So, and math is fun. It's like one big puzzle. It's trying to solve it all. So in that aspect, it's really working to kind of meet the learning needs of all of the students that we have. Okay, and by the way, the teacher is notified if students are stuck. So that's a huge benefit because then they can follow up for some one-on-one support. So that's our math. And we do this in addition to our iReady math instructional resources, which again are also available to them. Twig Science, this is new for us this year. And it's for our science curriculum in grades. I think we have 6 through 8, but I don't think it's 6 through 8. I think it's our elementary on that one. It's an all-in-one online app. And this is more of just kind of an online textbook. You're going to have your video resources, audio as well. And also too, the teachers will have assignment options. Our Studies Weekly is our history or social science curriculum. And that's a K-5. And it's based on the standards. It's again, an all-in-one online app, and it has online reading, again, more video and audio features, assignment options. However, there is a paper version that teachers sign up for. But we really, obviously with distance learning, we really have been focusing on our online apps to have those resources available to them. And one thing that's really nice about having an online textbook, if you will, as we go through, especially in history, it can be updated so it's current. sometimes, you know, when you buy those textbooks, they can be 20, 30 years old, depending on when it was published. So that is the beauty of having some online textbook features. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that about being current. I think when I first started teaching, um, I came in my first year and they were using the same history book and ELA book that I had used when I was in elementary school. So it really is, it really is important to stay current because, as you know, time marches on rather quickly. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about the curriculum at the middle school. We have Math Space on the one side for math instruction, and we have both apps, Savas, which is Pearson, and which is our history social studies curriculum, and McGraw-Hill, which is our science curriculum. So I'm going to kind of tackle each of them individually, although a lot of them have the same features. You're going to hear a lot of the same stuff repeated. And MathSpace, you heard Miss Benda talk a little bit about Zern. MathSpace has a lot of the same features, just in a more mature, grown-up kind of interface. It is, again, one of those smart curriculums. It's tailored to the student's needs based upon a diagnostic that is given to them. Diagnostic is given periodically. There are video recorded lessons. There is a feature where if a student is struggling, the teacher is flagged, and so that the teacher can provide maybe a little more support for the student. The system will actually give the student, prescribe to the student more directed lessons in the form of video lessons, text lessons, for them to kind of crack the nut open, if you will, and learn the concept. Yeah, I think I covered everything there. One thing that's not there that I wanted to mention is MathSpace has this really cool feature that Zern doesn't, that the kids can draw with their finger or a stylus on the iPad screen, and it will transfer their handwriting into text math equations. And it like has this animation where if they draw and then it animates into text. It's super, super cool. Really neat feature. The kids love it. Moving on to our history and science curriculums, Savas, formerly known as Pearson, is our history curriculum, and McGraw-Hill is our science curriculum. Both are fantastic. Both are mainly video and text based, but they also have interactive activities and quizzes built in, and they're really great. I do want to mention one thing about the Pearson Savas Easy Bridge curriculum. Some of the teachers have struggled with a little technical glitch with that. Normally, I would say access all of these through ClassLink, but with Pearson, it's really better to just have your child open up the Safari web browser, which is their regular web browser, and go to the ClassLink website. They still have to go to ClassLink, but they can sign into ClassLink through a web browser, which maybe a lot of parents don't know, and probably a lot of kids don't know that. Have them sign in that way to ClassLink and go to the Pearson Savas website through the web browser version of ClassLink. And on the devices that we've tested here in the tech office, it works much, much better than through ClassLink. So that's been put out there to the teachers. Just want to make sure that the parents hear it as well, and that the kid, if there are any kids listening, students, hopefully you guys can hear that as well. You can go through a web browser much better.
All right, so we are moving on to some of what we call our supplementary programs. So those are our main curriculum. They are LMSs. These are mainstays in our district, but we also supplant a lot of our teachers with some great opportunities with these apps that we have here. So the first one is Khan Academy. If you're not familiar with Khan Academy, I encourage you to go online after this session and go take a look. It is amazing. It's just khanacademy.org. You can just put in the Google search box. Don't worry, it'll pop right up. And I love the story behind Khan Academy. It started by Saul Khan, who really was just, he went through MIT as an engineer. He was working, and I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing well, right? He's doing his job. And his nephews started to need some help with some schoolwork. So he started back in the day, that's funny, like we call it Zooming now, but he started like FaceTiming with his nieces and we're helping them with homework. And what he realized is that, wow, he just would walk through and show them. And they were learning and they were like, hey, we want more of this. We want more of this. So next thing you know, fast forward a year or two later, he created a website where he just started posting how-to videos, starting with math primarily. And I don't know, that was like what, 5 days, not even 8 years ago, was it, Andy? I can't even remember. It's
Yeah, it's a fairly recent phenomenon.
really recent. But now he's created, this is his full-time job. He quit his paid job and now he does this. He created a nonprofit called Khan Academy, and it has a host of how-to videos that are created. He now actually has a large education team that helps him make these videos. They're branching out into history and to English, still primarily math, but going all the way up to college level calc and that kind of higher level thinking math. But what I love about it is he literally breaks everything down step by step. So if you find your student struggling, again, this is not something that we have. We don't have accounts. It's free to use. You don't need to sign up for anything. But you can go and look through Khan Academy and maybe go find some extra practice, or I just don't understand. If you have a middle schooler who's struggling with pre-algebra, they can go through and find that concept and it will show you or walk your student through it. And it's just really a fantastic tool to have in your toolkit, if you will, for your students. So encourage them to go take a look at Khan Academy. Another one that we have is Flipgrid, and we kind of joke we flip for Flipgrid, but I do flip for Flipgrid. And what this is simply kind of just a video-based platform. We've talked about it in our past session. And literally it's where a teacher can give an assignment, tell me 3 happy things that happened to you today, or 3 things that make you happy today. A student can go and just hit the record button and record themselves talking. And this teacher gets it back. They can watch it, they can comment it, they can reply to it via a video movie back to them. They can share it with the class. I mean, what I love about this is that this allows our students who maybe struggle with, they're still learning English, or they're struggling with, they have just some sort of learning, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out right now. But anyway, you guys get the idea. It's just a way for them to explain how their thoughts, because maybe they can't express it in written word. That's what I'm trying to say.
I would,
So,
if I could jump in, I would say
absolutely.
like, I always say like, Flipgrid anybody can do. You just
Yeah.
turn it on and hit a button and you can record a response. If you can speak, you can use Flipgrid.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another one that we have is Go Noodle. That's another one of my favorites. And this one, it started out with just a couple of guys, I think, and they're just recording videos to get kids to move with crazy, silly songs. And so I can tell you it comes in handy on a rainy day in class, because you put one of these videos on and it talks about like applesauce and pancakes. Yeah, yeah. Applesauce and pancakes. Yeah, yeah. Kind of thing. And it's just a fun, exciting way to get kids moving, right? So that's what I love. So hit that one up and go explore that one as well. And I think Miss Ball, who kind of oversees our PE program, she has a lot of Go Noodle references in her little calendar that we have on our website. Extra Math is just that. It's just kind of more of a online math fluency program where it's just kind of going more for speed. We're just practicing like our math facts, things like that. It's just a little fun extra way to add some more practice into your day. Okay. And lastly, open ebooks. Open ebooks is just that. They're just books online that kids can go and read. And it's kind of like having the library right there all on your iPad. And that's kind of a cool thing. All right.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Go Noodle. Terrific. Check it out. If your kid is not doing it through um, their teacher, you can create a free parent account in Go Noodle, and you guys can all huddle around the TV and do Go Noodle activities, or your computer or whatnot. It's phenomenal. Sometimes my kids just want to do Go Noodle just for fun, but we're kind of nerdy in the Osborne household. Anyway, Nearpod. I get to talk about Nearpod. Awesome. Awesome program. Nearpod is a supplementary program, but there is so much there for teachers to use. So basically what Nearpod is they are individual little like presentations. I want to call them PowerPoints, but they're not. They're interactive presentations. And so a teacher will do a search and they'll find a presentation, or they'll create their own, and they'll share a link to it in Seesaw or Canvas. They'll give your child a code to join, and your child can join through Canvas. If they're a Canvas user, they can go to the Nearpod website and do it. They can join through the Nearpod app, enter the code, and they're in. And Nearpods can be given simultaneously, so that means like everybody in class is taking the Nearpod or doing the Nearpod all at once, or they can be done asynchronously, student paced, they call it in the Nearpod world. And there are like little quizzes built in. There are little activities where they draw on the slides or circle things or draw a picture about what you learned or type a response. What are 3 things that you got from this little story? There could be video embedded into them, audio clips of people reading things, and they're just a great way to do a little bit of focused learning in class when now we have so many distractions out there, especially in this new virtual environment that we're in. Nearpod is a great way to keep folks focused and on task. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about Notability. This is one that for our elementary users out there, perhaps your kids are not using this one yet. We have a Notability license at both of our middle schools for every student and teacher. It's a note-taking app. It's genius. Great app. It's always one of the highest rated apps in the Apple App Store. College college level students use Notability to take notes in class. You never run out of paper. You can type into your notepad. You can draw with your hand, and it's not clumsy at all. It feels very natural, like you're writing on actual paper. You can organize your notes into categories by subject area. You can back them up, which we highly recommend, to any number of cloud storages. We recommend doing OneDrive because that's what we use in our district. There's also Google. They can back it up, and the students have Google accounts as well. But we always recommend backing up to I almost said Nearpod, Notability, excuse me. And then for our Canvas users, they can download activities from the teacher, complete them at home. Well, we're all at home right now, and then submit from Notability through Canvas that way, and that works really well too. It's an excellent app. So I want to talk a little bit about this penguin here, ST Math. I'm sure many of us are well acquainted with Gigi the penguin. ST Math is a supplementary math program. Students complete tasks. It's another one of those smart programs. Um, it's ST Math's big thing is that it's nonverbal. There's no reading involved in it. All of the puzzles and challenges that they have to complete are intuitive. You see the penguin having to get over a certain obstacle or do a certain task, and the children have to interact with the screen, dragging and dropping or tapping, uh, dragging things into a scale to make them balance, and it's all involves math, obviously. It's a great program. Um, so look for that one. I know that ST Math just did a recent update, but I believe we're still using the old app in our district. And then of course, can't forget to mention the Google Suite. Yes, we do have, we're not an official Google district, but we do use Google as a collaborative tool. And your child does have a Google account. And many of the teachers are using it to, say, for example, the English department at our middle schools will use a shared Google document in small groups. Each group gets a different document and they use it to contribute and collaborate and to edit on one common document. And in that sense, what Google does, it's unparalleled. They're still the leader of the collaboration game for sure. So if your child's teacher does a lot of collaborative work, Google is most likely the way that they are going with that. But Google also has other really great newer products that they're using, like Jamboard comes to mind, which is an interactive workspace that all students can have access to and can contribute to in real time, which is really, really neat. Um, and Google Forms and Google Slides, which is a slideshow presentation. Actually, you're viewing a presentation on Google Slides right now. So they're phenomenal, phenomenal products. Okay. Oh boy. Is this my slide? It's both of us. Yeah. Okay. All right. This slide is a lot of text on this slide. So we're not going to read it off to you guys. We thought what we would try to do is kind of summarize what's here. We just had, Natalie and I just tried to combine all of the different troubleshooting hints that we give to parents and to teachers whenever something goes awry. And we already did have our presentation on technical glitches, but this one is targeted more to actual apps. And these are all based on things that have actually happened, some of them many, many times. So we just kind of wanted to go through, and maybe I can say a few words about half of them, and then Ms. Benda can jump in around number 6 or 7. Oh, and I should also mention that the numbering or the order that they're in is deliberate. It's we tried to go from least intensive to most intensive at the bottom, so you should generally try to do them in the order that they're given, depending on what the issue is. So right off the bat, the first thing, if you're running into trouble with an app, you should have your child try to double click the home button and swipe up just to close the app and try it again, start it up again. The second thing, most problems are easily solved by clearing the cache on the browser. We've mentioned that in previous trainings. You can get to it by tapping on Settings, Safari, and clearing the history and website data. If you're having sound trouble, try, and your child is using an older iPad with a mute switch on the side, try toggling the mute switch. Newer iPads don't have that switch anymore. They eliminated it a few years ago. You can still access it by swiping down from the top right corner and tapping the little bell icon. That's a soft mute button. You can try shutting the iPad down by holding the power button in the upper right edge of the iPad. And when I mean right, I mean if you're holding it portrait, hold down that power button. You got to hold it down until you see the button that you swipe on screen. You swipe that button and it powers down. Go to self-service and check if the app needs an update. You'll know, because if you go to self-service and do a search for the app and it pops up and it says update, you need to update it. Self-service is supposed to update the apps automatically on your child's iPad, but sometimes they don't have enough storage to do it, or sometimes the iPad is a little out of sync with our mobile device manager, so you need to force an update. So that can solve some problems. You can always try deleting an app and reinstalling it. And to delete, you would press and hold on the app until it wiggles, and then tap the X button to delete it. Go to self-service and download it again. Ms. Benda, did you want to take over at number 7?
Sure. All right. So again, biggest thing, like if you ever see on your child's iPad in the settings gear and you see a little red 1 on there, or 2 or 3, depending. If you see that red 1, that means that your iPad needs an update, needs what we call an iOS update. And you, believe it or not, that alone can fix a lot of things. It just kind of brings, if you can imagine it, when we, let's say, like for instance, the iPad releases a new update, right? Then all the apps have to catch up to be able to kind of meet the level of where they're at. And then once it gets there and they sit there and they're even, and then an app will go and update. And so this kind of this jogging thing back and forth of apps trying to catch up to each other as they update and improve, especially since we have been home since March. There's been a lot of it. So that's why we do ask you to update your apps a lot, but the iOS especially is keep that updated. Sometimes we do ask, usually it's the beginning of the year, we ask you to hold back on that update. We will actually turn it off so that students don't actually accidentally do it, because it might break, if you will, some of the apps that we use, because we got to let those apps catch up to be able to work with that updated software. Okay, but check that. You see the
And
one.
actually, Apple just issued an update, like literally like the other day, didn't they, Natalie? 14.4, I think it was just, yeah.
All right. Another big thing that will help a lot, check your storage. Okay, typically, because especially in Seesaw, your students are screenshotting a lot of their assignments and submitting them. Every photo, every video they take to turn in, those take up space, and there's not a lot of space on our iPads. So kind of think of it like your brain, it can only take so much. So when it gets full, it slows down, it gets harder to function, and things don't work as smoothly as they should. So have your child go through and just delete anything that they don't need any longer. Okay. Headphones are great and work with most of our apps. I'm going to tell you the one app that we struggle with some of our iPads, and again, it just depends on which iPad that you have, and that is iReady. So, and you need to be able to hear to be able to take those diagnostics and watch those videos. So if you're running into issues with, you have your earbuds or headphones in and you're not hearing sound in iReady, of course, try all those things that you do at the beginning, because that's what we're going to ask you to do. And if it still doesn't work, just unplug the headphones. You can try another pair. If they have the one with the microphone so that they do voice and they also, you can hear, then those ones, actually, iReady has said, please don't use those. You just want simple, old school earbuds or headphones with that. But if it doesn't work, again, unplug it and just listen live if that's possible. Okay. You can do a soft reset of the iPad, and that's where you press the home button and the power buttons together until the Apple logo appears, and let it go through the process there. That's, again, as you've tried all these other steps, try that one. And then kind of last but not least, we call it a hard reset. And that's where literally we're going to ask you to wipe everything on that iPad and kind of give it a fresh new set of instructions, a fresh new brain, if you will. That is a last resort. We do have steps. We will totally support you through that, but please, please, please email us at pts@bpsd.us and let us know, like, hey, I've done all of these steps. I don't know what else to do. We will kind of determine if that's something that the iPad or needs to happen to the iPad. Okay. And if you tried all of these things, minus that last part of the reset, again, email us at pts@bpsd.us, and we will help walk you through. Sorry, I guess it's late. My brain is really tired today. Too much information. So I apologize for that. Okay.
Okay, so you go ahead. Oh, okay. All right, I go. So we're nearing the end here, and we're nearly out of time checking the clock on my computer. But just wanted to mention again, we've said it a bunch of times, but if you have questions about curriculum, supplementary programs, you're probably going to want to reach out to your child's teacher. We are super highly intelligent people, but they are going to be better about answering curriculum questions of that nature. Natalie and I joke that we can help you get into the program, but we've never actually taught with them. So they're going to be the experts in all the intricacies of the program. But if you have a question about a district program, or if you have a technical program, email us at pts@bpsd.us, and we can get you hooked up right away and get you back on track.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for joining us tonight. I don't see any questions. Michelle,
No,
I'm gonna throw it to you.
everything so well. We have no questions. That is phenomenal. Before we close, I do see that we have Dr. Cantu, who is our Chief Academic Officer, who joined us. So thank you so much, Dr. Cantu. Would you like to just share a few words?
No, I just want to, yes, I do. I'd like to thank our presenters, Natalie and Andy, for once again bringing to all of us not only ways that our students are learning through the technology, but also ways that they can be very mindful of using it effectively, and also what to do if there's a few snafus. One of the things that we know about technology is that we're using it now out of necessity, but these are strategies that have always been known to be highly engaging and effective in learning academics that we will now be able to continue forward as we invite our students back to in-person learning this year and in the future. So again, thank you to our wonderful presenters. And I want to encourage all of our parents to try them on yourselves. You'd be amazed at the level of thinking that our students are afforded by using these apps. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cantu. I too would like to thank our wonderful presenters, our phenomenal technology TOSAs, Mr. Andy Osborne, Ms. Natalie Benda. Thank you for sharing your expertise in such a user-friendly way. I feel like I have learned so much from listening to all of your trainings thus far. So thank you once again. I'd also like to thank our interpreters this evening, Miss Margarita Escamilla. Thank you so much for your help, as well as Christy Kim, because we know that this information, is only as good as many parents as we can get it to. And so providing that access is really important to us. So again, thank you parents, to you family members, for taking time out of your busy schedules. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday, same time, same place, next Thursday evening, 5 o'clock. That will be February. Can you believe that? February. And we will be discussing footsteps to brilliance. So we hope to see you all then. Thanks again and have a wonderful evening, everybody. Take care.
Michelle, if I could jump, I'm sorry, if I could jump in just real quick. I'm so sorry to cut you off. There was one question, and I just wanted to point out, I already answered it in there.
Okay.
Robin Leach asked, she said that, or he said, I was not able to be at the start of the program. How can I get information already provided? And I answered and said, we'll be releasing the recordings of these. We actually have one of the recordings up already on the website. We haven't yet shared it out through Parent Square, but we will. And our goal is to release all of them and embed them on the website. And we're still working on that, but we're going to get word out about that. Sorry.
No worries. Are we able at all to show, if not today, maybe next week, how we can access the recordings on the website?
I'm trying to think where they are. They are, let me see. Okay. Oop. No, I don't want to leave the meeting. No, I don't want everybody to read my email. Okay, let's see here. This is our district website. Okay, I'm looking for, does anyone see it? The
Parent training series on the bottom left.
Thank you. There it is. Okay, so some of you may have joined through this link right here, this button. And then this is the one recording that we have up, the glitches training. And I actually uploaded, I don't even think I told Natalie this, I uploaded the second one. Actually, it's the third video, but it's the second recording. I just haven't had an opportunity to embed it in the webpage. But this is where you would come. There'll be instructions in the Parent Square that's sent out. If you want to access this one right now, you can. You can watch it. You can watch it after this webinar. You can just make it a twofer. You can watch the second one. So jump right on in. Looks like
That's
we've got another
idea.
question.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great evening.